This episode of Finding Demo Surf Fishing is being brought to you by the Kids Can Fish Foundation. Head over to kidscanfish.net and see all the great things that they're doing for the fishing community. They take all these kids out to these camps, show them how to fish, throw a cast net, all these pieces. And then when the kid's done, they get to go home with the gear that they used that day. Huge win, especially when they know that gear. It's great. All of that comes together from your donations. You're the ones that make this work. They are a federally and state recognized charity. All their stuff's on the up and up. That's why I'm able to comfortably say who they are and what they do. That's why I'm okay with that. They're great. And I can't wait for them to come to the Panhandle. We got some really cool camps coming up here. Well, one camp, hopefully more later. But kidscanfish.net. Take a look at the website. Help them out. It's going to be great. And then hopefully we'll see you all at the Redfish Tournament in St. Simons Island, Georgia. Going to be good times. Hello, awesome people. Hope you're doing well wherever you are, and the fishing has been phenomenal. It's always good to see the posts, everyone kicking back saying, hey, look, this is what we caught. Or getting a message from somebody saying, hey, podcast helped me with this, man. Appreciate it. Always good stuff. This week, we are taking the digital car because I got to go to work in a few hours and I can't really go physically. Just down the road, we're sticking around here in Florida. We're going over to Perdido area. And we're talking with a guy who I've crossed paths with a few times, definitely follow heavily on social media. Good angler. Quite the adventures. He recently was on a cruise running security for a band. Well, several bands, actually. I was a little envious because it was metal, and you guys know me, I'm a total metalhead. So I was a little butthurt that I didn't go, damn it, I should have gone. But try to get time off. It ain't going to happen. Working in the fishing industry. We'll talk about that on the show. And just an all-around good human, really is. So without further ado, let's get you on the show. Brandon, welcome, man.
How's it going, man?
It's a good day to start.
Beautiful right now. Waiting for this next cold snap.
Yeah, what is it supposed to be in the 30s or something tonight? I was like, spring.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, it's our false spring like we always have.
False spring, correct.
But the cool part with that is with these varying ones, well, it's going to hurt fishing for a day or two, and then the water temperature will get back up and it'll be fine. But man, these fronts coming through here, man, they are stacking the fish.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So, Brandon, I gave a little of a cheater intro there. You just recently came off a cruise where you were running security. You're a multi-talented person. You do security pieces, you do a lot of fishing. Now you're working in the industry. I'll let you talk about that here. We'll get into that one later on. Dude, when do you have time to sleep?
Whenever I fall down.
Telling you, kids, adulting's a trap. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't grow up. Cherish your youth.
Yes, it's worth it. Oh, man. All right, let's start at the beginning here. Tell us your story and what got you into fishing.
Man, born and raised in Pensacola. I've been fishing my entire life. I grew up fishing on the Pensacola Beach Pier for cobias and kings and all that. Then once it got cold, we'd chase redfish in the bay. Fort Pickens Pier was really popular when I was a kid. Obviously, it still is now, but that was one of our big spots. Johnson's Beach. I used to camp out there on the weekends. Me and my group of friends, we'd convince one of our parents to bring us out there Friday night after school, and then another group of parents would have to come pick us up Sunday before school Monday, and we would just literally spend the weekend out there.
Man,
it was fun.
Those campgrounds between Pickens, it's a hidden gem. I mean, they're part of the national park system, which I absolutely love. I'm a huge national park geek. But those campgrounds, so clean, so well put together. Tent, RV, doesn't matter. They're just well built.
Yeah. The other hidden grail too, and I hate to kind of say this because I'm going to blow it up now. Big Lagoon State Park is awesome.
Yeah. Real nice one.
Great place. They just built that new boat ramp there like 2 years ago, and it's premier.
Dude, I love seeing that. I like it when they put the money back into the parks. I mean, people have been
Yes.
people have been whispering the word conservationist and tree hugger to me lately, and I'm like, I am. Shut up, leave me alone. But dude, those parks, so good, so good.
Yeah, the most beautiful state park I've seen was actually down in St. Petersburg, Fort DeSoto State Park. It is
Nice.
absolutely gorgeous. If you can ever afford to go down there for a weekend, I cannot recommend it enough.
All right. So born and raised here, grew up fishing, definitely had the fun stuff there. All right. So with that one, what is your favorite thing about fishing?
Constantly challenging myself. I'm a big fan of using artificials. Um, it's just a lot more challenging. I'd much rather catch one or two pompano on a jig than catching my limit on set rods with sand fleas and shrimp. I'm a big fan of walking the beach and trying to find a hole versus letting them come to me.
You know what? We're going to jump right into it because you opened that one up. So we're going to play with that. We'll go back to these other ones. Talk to me about artificials and going after pomps. So let's talk about that.
Man, just the old school pompano jigs, man, a white head with a pink bucktail or an orange bucktail. They're one of the oldest kind of jigs that have been around for a while. Any kind of bait shop you go into, you'll see them hanging on a shelf, usually at the counter. They work. You just throw them out, hop them slowly across the bottom, and they catch fish, man. The banana jigs, goofy jigs, wacky jigs, whatever you want to call them, those work really well too. But I'm a big fan of the small bucktail jigs in particular.
Okay. So this is the question, and I've asked this a couple times, and sometimes I get a response. More often than not, I don't. What are you looking for when you're gonna do that? Because if I go out with artificials, I don't have the sight, man. I got good glasses, sure. I don't see the shine like I've heard from Blake. Blake Hunter has been like, dude, you just got to see the shine, man. And I'm like, I can't see it. So I've always gone out and I've just blind thrown and retrieved and did the pops and all that. Is there a different thing that you do with that, or a tip that you could recommend to help people do it with to catch with them?
Just stick at it, man. You're gonna throw a lot. That's just the reality of it. Now you can get lucky, and like Blake does, and you can sight fish for them. It's a lot easier to sight fish for them on the piers because obviously you're up off the water. But when you're on the beach, it helps to just try and find a high spot of sand. You just, even if you get an extra foot of elevation, that helps a lot to be able to see more. I like finding the deep holes that are in real close to the beach, especially if there's like a cut in the sandbar that's pushing it way up close on the beach. That's where all your sand fleas are going to be buried up, and that's what your little jig is imitating is a sand flea scurrying along.
Okay. Now I'm tracking. So you're still looking for target piece. You're still looking for land, structure, water. You're
Yes,
still looking
absolutely.
at that, and then you're throwing into it, and then you're doing the pullbacks, nice and slow. You're not really playing a shrimp game per se, but like you said,
No.
you're going out, you're using the sand flea, the way they scurry and fly on the bottom and stir it up.
Yep, just a hop, let it pause, hop, let it pause, pop, pop, let it pause. There's no real exact, rhythm or cadence to it. You're just hopping it along, scurrying it along the bottom. As it's hitting the bottom, you'll see a little puff of sand come up, and that's a big indicator for fish.
Look at that. Now, see, now we're gonna have to do that this year, dude. Thank you for sharing that. That helps out.
Of course, I'm trying to get Justin Reed to come catch some fish on a jig too.
I'm sure he will this year. He has
Yeah.
definitely been after it. Yeah. He texts me like, "Are we going?" Like, I'm working. He's like, "Uh-huh. Are we going?" I was like, "If I could call in dead, I would." Uh, but yeah, he's been after it, and I know he's going stir crazy. He wants to get back out. So he'll have some new stuff.
I get it. I totally get it. I'll have my first chance to fish in 2 weeks coming Saturday.
Nice. Very nice. Oh, I hope you have a good one there. I hope the weather holds for you.
It's looking nice. It'll be a north wind, but I don't mind a north wind. I know a lot of people just refuse to fish when that happens, but I don't mind. I
Hmm.
can throw my jig further.
Yeah, I was like, I love a north wind. I'm not a fan of the south wind. Oh, you know what? It's
You gotta
probably
wear
the
pants,
damn fleet.
pants and long sleeves, man. The little no seams they'll get you.
Yep. Them and the black flies on the other time of the season,
Yeah.
they'll chew you up.
Yep. Some people have little chemical formulas, whether it be, the skin's so soft or dryer sheets, but I've never found any of that to work.
Lemongrass stuff is the one I've used, and it's okay, but it's still one's gonna find you. That's just what they do.
Yeah. I would rather just wear pants and bury my feet in the sand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the burying feet works quite well.
They can't bite through sand.
No. All right. Let's talk about other ones here in the past for you. What is a bucket list fish that you want to catch someday?
Oh man, easily rooster fishing cubera snapper on poppers. Don't even have to think about that. That's been lifelong goal since I was a kid growing up watching shows on TV.
Dude, wouldn't it be so cool if we had roosters pop up here?
I wouldn't know what to think.
Can you imagine the piers or just the area if all of a sudden we caught one rooster fish?
Well, the same happens when the first cobia gets caught or the first blackfin tuna in the winter. When one fish gets caught, the next day there'll be 100 people on the pier.
Oh, every time.
Same with the sheephead at Fort Pickens. One good report, now everyone and their cousins taking a day off.
And that pier's not big at Pickens.
It's really not. It's not at all, and they get stacked up on there. And like I said, I grew up pier fishing, so it's nothing to me to fish shoulder to shoulder. But personally, I've never gotten into sheephead fishing. I know a lot of people just swear by it that it's the most fun thing to do, but I've never really devoted that much time to it, to be honest.
Fun. I was frustrated as hell out there. Like, oh, you stop stealing everything I give you.
That seems to be the common theme.
Yeah. I've thoroughly enjoyed my day out there with Real Coastal and Justin, but dude, I get why people are like, this is stupid. God, I hate this. And then they catch it like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, they taste good. I'll give them that. They're a tasty fish, but when I've got to burn $40 in fiddler crabs and shrimp to get 3 fish, that hurts.
Yeah, it does. Well, on the same lines of doing bucket lists, let's talk about places. What about a dream place for you to go fish?
Tropic Star Large, Venus Bay, Panama. That's where I'm going to get my roosters and cuberas, and they have world-class blue marlin fishing there. That's always been my number one destination.
As I can't unclick my mute button. Damn it. I always mute myself. If those ever wondered, I always mute myself in the background. That way you don't hear the Darth Vader breathing from me. And then I'll jump back on. Okay. Let's share. Let's go with, can you share? Yeah. Brian, speak English. Can you share a memorable surf fishing story, including any unexpected catches or challenging fishing situations that made that finished off with a win?
Well, 3 years ago, I did get a 32-inch, which at the time was 1 inch under the legal size limit for a cobia, trying to catch black drum and redfish using the blue crab. So that has now sparked a new interest. I want a legal cobia off the beach. That's going to be something I want to do come hell or high water. Before I'm 6 feet under, I'm going to put a legal cobia on the sand.
Oh, dude, it's okay. Change my position for this. I see him run. I've seen him walk up and down the friggin' sandbar. I've seen them, and we know that they're cobia. They're not reds. You can tell they're darker. You can see that it's what it is. Those guys just like, ha 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 ha! I'm right here, dude. That is such a frustrating fish.
That's my number one fish to catch. I've got a cobia tattooed on my leg. That's always been our thing, that we pier fish for cobia in the springtime, and then summertime was kings. Fall time sailfish, winter blackfin.
Talking about that on the pier. All right, so you want to do it from the sand, but on the pier, let's talk about that too. So going after these things for a new person, because I'll be that one. I'm not a pier fisherman only because I'm not great about being shoulder to shoulder. It's just old habits, and
it's not for everyone.
It's not, and I get people get frustrated, like, you threw over my line. It's like, dude, everybody's going after the same fish. As long as in the end we can untangle together and be like, oh, okay, cool, life is good, then we'll be okay. But going after
Absolutely.
cobia or kings, that sort of stuff at the pier is foreign to me. So talk to me, if you wouldn't mind, about, all right, if I'm going out for this, I need to use this. Let's start with cobia. If you're going after cobia from the pier, you do it from the surf the same way. What would you use and how would you do it?
So the 8.5, 9 foot rod, you want a medium heavy to a heavy rod. They're a big fish. You want to be able to put some big leverage on them. Their mouths are like concrete blocks, and you got to put a hook into them. When you see people setting the hook, they're setting the hook like Bill Dance did with bass. You're rearing back 4, 5, 6 times because you want to make sure that barb's actually in his mouth. Um, Cobia, they're not the most complicated fish, man. They're migrating from east to west, so that's obviously you're going to be looking to the east, and you see a brown blob coming across the green sand, and you got to be able to see them before everyone else. You got to be able to cast before everyone else, and you got to get them to the pier still. Now, a lot of piers now have what's called their first shot rule, and first person to see the fish yells out first shot, and no one else can cast on it until that person makes his cast, and then it's free for all. It's gotten to the point where cobia fishing, honestly, to me, isn't even worth it on the piers anymore. They've been so overfished for years now that we don't have the numbers that we used to, and especially not the size. I remember as a kid, it'd be totally common to see 10, 15 cobia in a week being put on the deck, and now you don't see that in a month.
Yeah, last season was weird, and our whole community in this area specifically was really bringing it up. They're like, for some reason the cobia are late, and then they stayed late, and then when they hit, it was, they're not here in the massive numbers, and it got FWC's attention. It was a literal problem.
I don't know if I'm a little far-fetched on this, but I truly believe that we need to regulate them like we did for redfish. They need to have a slot limit. Minimum's 36 right now. Make a max 48, 50. They did a few years ago up it from a 33-inch minimum to 36, and they dropped the max vessel limit from 6 to 4. So even if you have 8 anglers on a boat, you can still only bring back 4 fish, which that is a good thing in a way, but still, if you come back with 4 80-pound fish, that's a lot of breeders. That's a lot of cobia that aren't going to be swimming now.
Yeah, I just talked about that the other day in an individual podcast because I was like, oh, let's bring this up because, what the hell? Let's kick a pig and listen to it squeal. Man, they're those big ass fish. It's like the black drum. They're super breeders. We're talking a couple of million eggs. There's a huge difference between a 28-inch drum and a 42-inch drum in the egg population. That's monstrous.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. There's an exponential amount more of breeding potential as they get larger. And especially, like you said, a black drum, they're such an old fish. It takes them a long time to get to that 45, 50-inch range. And they've been breeding for years and years and years. And now you suddenly just cut out that breeder. Now, I know they're a fun fish to catch. Everyone knows that. They don't have much of a food value. There's no reason to kill that fish.
And the bigger ones don't taste any better.
And they're full of worms.
Always full. Oh, that's protein. That's fine. You can call it protein, but why kill a 48-incher when I can go after something else smaller? It's probably got better meat. It's probably a little firmer. And on the same one, I didn't just kill 30 other generations that I'm going to be able to catch next year or the year after.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did love that. I love that you bring it up, though. The idea that changing the slot limits. Now we can have this conversation, and we're probably fine. And then there's somebody listening going, no, I can catch what I want. I can do it. You're right. You can do whatever you want.
You're totally within your rights to do that right now. But if we continue ways that we are right now, the population is going to keep going down. The same thing happened with redfish. I watched it. They fished them, and they fished them hard. And then they put such tight regulations on them. And now they're back to just being a bunch of goldfish swimming around the bay.
Yeah. Well, flounder, remember, I think it was last year. Was it 23? They changed the regulations for flounder. The
I think it was
giggers.
2 years ago now.
Was it 2? Is it 2? Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember being recent, and the giggers were mad, and it was like, "God, you're going out there nailing a max limit every night. If I do that for 30 days,
Yeah.
you're gonna put a dent, and you're just one person."
Yeah.
Not saying it's possibly it's gonna be the end all be all, but it was great that their FWC, the council was like, "Hey, something's wrong here, man. We got to change this."
Yeah. And again, you're within your rights. No one can say you can't do that. But man, you've got to have at least a little discretion. If you want things to stay the way they are for us, for your kids, for your kids' kids, you've got to think a little bit ahead, man. Like what you're saying with giggers, you go out and you kill your limit every night for a month straight. You're not eating that much fish. You're killing to kill, man.
Yeah. Now, commercial guys, we understand that's your livelihood, and you know what? It's
That's
going to get
totally different.
sold and eaten. So that you guys you're not in that conversation piece. We understand that one. You're selling it, it's
Yes.
going to get eaten.
Yes, absolutely. That's nothing towards commercial guys. That's your way of life. That's your living. No one's going to take that away from you.
And they're not wasting. They're
No,
not.
no.
But I'm glad you brought it up, man, because conservation piece it's huge, and it was unfortunate to bring it up, but I'll bring it up. The great white we had wash on shore here in Navarre. I learned a ton about it. I didn't realize it took great white sharks 30 years to mature to even have a pup.
32 to 33 years for sexual maturity of a great white shark.
Isn't that crazy?
That's nuts.
And they don't have a whole litter of friggin' great whites. No, they don't have a ton of babies with that.
No. Yeah, I mean, it's really unfortunate that it took that animal's death to happen, but a lot was learned from it, and a lot will be learned from it. From the marine scientists that took it and will, do whatever they do to it. That it happens. It's part of life. Fish are going to die, but unfortunately, this one died because of someone's mistakes.
Yep. Atlantic, I think it's the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy. They did a share talking about how a lot of the knowledge they all picked up from that fish. So there was a win at the end. Sadness, bad, yeah, but there was a ton of knowledge gained because we don't know everything about these creatures, and that's how we learn. Is we learn through testing and science.
Yes, absolutely. Now, a lot of people that don't know about fishing, your initial emotion, the shark was pregnant. That was one of the big things at first, that this shark was killed and someone tried to kill all its babies. That's a stretch. I understand emotions are strong. Emotions can be strong when it comes to animals, especially, an apex predator like that. But let the scientists determine what happened.
No, I got an armchair quarterback. I got to get my likes and shares
Absolutely.
It's like my coffee. I need my caffeine and I need my likes.
Absolutely.
A mess, dude. Absolute mess. All right, 23 minutes in. Let's go ahead and get ourselves checked because if you've been fishing, you got to check that bait. Because if not, you're not going to catch the fish. Get it out there. Let's do that. This bait check is being brought to you by the Sinker Guy. Y'all know I love it. Go over to thesinkerguy.com and take a look at everything that Chip's got going on in the Sinker Guy garage. Lots of fun stuff in this website, y'all. I mean, you can get lost in it, really. If you go take a look, you just get right to the homepage here. It's got a little couple of things to talk about, but we go into the good stuff, get into the garage, into the shop. Need sinkers? It's in his name. It's got you covered there. The Bruno rig, the Uno rig, and the Fishing Mortician rig. We all love those. But if you need other supporting gear, he's got you covered with that. Bait, floats, fishing line, so many different things, any kind of other supporting gear. There's a lot on the website. So again, go over to thesinkerguy.com, take a look, get your order in today. Extremely fast shipping, superb customer service, and Chip's going to make sure you're taken care of every time. That's just how he does it. Sinkerguy.com, get your order in today. So let's talk about the fishing tips, tricks, and knowledge here. So when you're going to go, when hey, all right, this is what's going to happen, how do you plan your fishing trips?
A lot of it's based on the wind. I know it's a bad habit, but I'm a vapor. As soon as I get to the beach, I'm hitting my vape a few times. I'm watching the way that cloud is going through the air, so that knows my direction. If I've got a predominantly south wind, I'm probably going to do a lot of set rig fishing for the day. If I've got a hard east or a hard west wind, obviously, Sputniks are going to come out because you've got that hard line draw down the beach. If I got a north wind, I'm throwing jigs.
Interesting. I like the differential there, man.
I
That's
like to be dynamic, man. I like to, be able to pick and choose what I want to do. I'm a big fan of putting my backpack cooler on and a single rod, and I'll walk, 1, 2, 3 miles down the beach each way. It gets away from people, and that ain't gonna hurt me. I need the exercise.
girl, same. Totally get what you're saying on that one. And that soft sand is a freaking unforgiving mistress of you're gonna feel this.
Yeah, but I'm a glutton for punishment, especially if I can come home with some fish.
Mm-hmm. What backpack are you using nowadays for hauling and go?
I have a brand called Polar Bear. I had never heard of it. I randomly saw it. It was given to me as a gift, and it's one of the dopest things I have in my fishing arsenal.
Okay. Tall boy sort of thing.
Yeah, it's fairly tall. It's got real thick walls on it. I can put a
Mm-hmm.
7-pound bag of ice in it, and I can put 2 or 3 pompano in there. Or if I'm flounder fishing, I can put 3 or 4 flounder in it just fine. I can keep me a couple drinks, and it's got a couple little pouches on the side where I can put a small little tackle box, and I keep my fish ruler with me at always. I got my ProCure that always stays with me, and then I can do what I need to do.
Yeah, ProCure is a nice little add to the old lures there.
Yeah, I mean pompano are a very scent-oriented fish, and I like something that smells like they want to eat it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, with that one, how do you select your spot?
I like to get away from people, man. That's why I like fishing Perdido because it's not near as busy as Pensacola Beach. You've got the state park area, you've got Johnston's Beach as the park area, and that by itself is just going to limit a lot more competition and swimmers.
Okay. Doesn't hurt taking the pressure off the fish either.
Yes, absolutely.
How can surf anglers read and interpret beach conditions to identify productive fishing spots and locate schools of fish?
Try and get a high spot, man. Get your vantage point up, but that doesn't mean walk in the dunes. Stay off the sand dunes. Try and get up high and watch the waves. The waves will tell you everything. When you see the waves are breaking in a straight line parallel to the beach, that's where your sandbar is. When you see a break in those waves where there's just a calm flat spot, probably a deep pocket. Especially when you see them deep, darker pockets up close to the beach and between the sandbar and the bank, that's where I'm going to be fishing. I like fishing close. I know everyone has the fascination of throwing halfway to Cuba at all times. I like fishing close, man.
The first 50 yards are overlooked by so many anglers.
That is one of the single biggest things I tell people when they either come in the shop and I'm working or just, talking to people. You're throwing past them. The fish are trying to eat forage that's being churned up in the waves. So why throw past that?
Because it feels good to ugga dugga.
Sure.
And it's like, good for you, but they're not,
Yeah.
you're not going to play that one out there. They're not always that far.
Yeah. And because of that, I don't have a need for 12, 13, 15-foot surf rods. My sweet spot's 9 and 10 because I'm not trying to throw 150 plus yards.
Yeah.
That's not to say I don't have an 11-foot rod that I can, but most of my fishing's done within that first 50, 60 yards.
And that explains, if you're new to this, I want you guys to think about this for a second because Brandon brought up a huge win with this. When you first start out, it's easy to look at all the YouTubers and it's easy to launch it max distance because you see them just hawking that thing out there. If you walk the beach, you can find a sandbar 60 yards away. You don't have to go for the 200-yard away sandbar piece. And the breaks and the holes and where the waves are falling, kind of where you want to throw. Maybe a line.
That's where your sand fleas are. That's where the ghost shrimp are. Ghost shrimp aren't 100 yards off the beach. They're right there in the wash.
ghost shrimp. Oh, freaking critter. Mm.
That's become one of my newer baits that I've started experimenting with,
Yeah.
and you can't deny the success.
Oh no,
That
no, it's a solid bait.
especially wintertime, coquina clams and ghost shrimp are what they're eating more than anything. There
Hmm.
aren't really many sand fleas that are in the water right now. They're up in the dry sand, burrowed up in the dunes.
Yeah, trying to stay
They're
warm.
not they're not in the water right now. If you can't rake them up, the fish can't eat them.
Hmm.
So
Hardest thing I've
you've got to be dynamic and being able to change up a little bit. It's like in the wintertime, I don't really jig fish that much because I'm not trying to emulate a sand flea.
right. I like that. That's super. That is super smart, sir. Um, have you found a better method for hooking up ghost shrimp? Because, dude, it's all hook and string for me.
Uh, a slight play on that is what I do, and
Okay.
the same thing I do with coquina clams, and it's the same thing I do with oysters. I get cheesecloth and crush up my bait and make little tea bags and wrap it up with magic thread, miracle thread, whatever variety you have, and hook that on your hook. A step further than that, if I'm particularly surf fishing, I'll dye. Like I'll stain the cheesecloth with food dye and make it orange, green, pink, whatever it may be. And then you've got all that scent from that fresh, crushed up shellfish, all your crustaceans that are there. And it works, man. I mean, it works really good for sheephead too. And you can get 3 or 4 fish off of one little tea bag bait.
The bag is not. The bag is not a deterrent all the time, people. It really
No,
isn't. People are like, oh, they see it. Like they see my float.
no, they smell it. It's the
Yeah,
smell.
it's the scent. The scent.
Yeah,
Scent is so important. I mean, why do
yeah.
you think the artificials are all like, yeah, we leak scent? It gets them there.
I mean, that's the premise of FishGum and Fishbites. It puts scent in the water.
Hmm. Yep. And then they smell. And it's like us. You smell something? I want to eat it. You know, neighbors
Yeah,
doing barbecue.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
back to the ProCure. My jigs have ProCure on them every cast.
man, these. I love that you brought that up, dude, because I feel like a lot of times there are people that are kind of nervous to bring up their kind of hidden tips like that. But thank you for just being honest, because the bag is such a great tip. It's such a good use, and there's
Absolutely,
numerous companies. But for cheesecloth, you can pick it up at the store, cheap, effective, and it does the job.
it works.
Mhm. Well, you talking about the gear? Let's move into that now. You do, since you're doing jigs and you're doing set rigs, you do things just, what fits the bill for the day. You're a planner, which is huge, especially if you're going to go out there and do the game like that, people. How do you set your gear when you're at the spot? Let's go with set rig first before we move into jigs. How do you set your gear up?
um, I'm a big fan of fishing naked, what I call it. Your naked rigs. Drop the floats. I like to fish very basic, minimalistic. I fish really small hooks. Most of the time, I have a number 4 hook on. I've also got number 6s,
I'm
especially when it
celebrating
comes
on
to
mute.
whiting. Scale it down, man. Pompano and whiting don't have a big mouth. You've got to be able to fish something small. Um, like I said, I like using lighter tackle. I don't like using 12, 13-foot rods. Most of mine are 9 or 10 foot. I've got 5,500 size bailless Spinfishers. I grew up again fishing the pier, 706s and 704s with the manual pickup. That's what everyone used. So that's just what I feel comfortable using, and that's just less moving parts to get sand and salt water in when you're on the surf. Um, Obviously, you stagger them out. You don't ever throw the same distance with all your rods. I typically run a 3 rod set rig set. One way out deep, one in close, and then one in between those. If one's getting a bite more than the others, obviously change it up. If I've gone, that first bait check, 25, 30 minutes, and I haven't got a bite on any of those 3 rods, I'm probably moving one 20 yards down to the left or 20 yards down to the right. You can't be too comfortable in sitting on one spot for too long. You've got to be able to move. And that's why I like jig fishing a lot, because you're constantly moving around. Now you can obviously incorporate that in set rig fishing, just moving down a little bit every time you check your baits. If I've got all my shrimp, all my ghost shrimp, all my sand fleas haven't even been touched by crabs, yeah, man, I'm moving. I'm moving down the beach. Even if it's 20, 30 yards, that could be a difference from a zero fish day to coming home with your limit. That,
Dude, too many people ignore 20 feet down the just hopscotch.
yeah. I mean, how many times have you been the envious guy looking at the guy down there and, oh, he's wearing them out. What's wrong with me? You're not in the right spot, man.
No, there could be one
Salt
piece of
Strong.
structure.
Salt Strong put it in a really good way. They have what they call the 90-10 rule. 90% of the fish are in 10% of the water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one's a good one. All right, let's move into the jigs on this because it's going to follow the path. So now that you've done set rig, talk to me about jig fishing. When you're doing that, how do you set yourself up for that?
If I'm strictly jig fishing for the day, I'm not even bringing the big rods out to set rig fish. I'm putting my backpack on. I've got a small little palm-sized backpack cooler. I'm sorry, tackle box. Now I just keep a few extra jigs in it. I got a couple pre-cut pieces of fluorocarbon to have on standby, and that's it. I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna find those deep pockets of water where the waves aren't breaking. Obviously darker water is typically going to be deeper water too. And I'm going to hammer that hole for a good 10, 15 minutes. If I don't get any bumps, no bites, I'm on to the next one. And again, don't get too comfortable in one spot too long. It could look great and it might be a great spot, but it's not a great spot right now.
Nice ad there at the end. That's huge. That piece. Come back to it. Mark it in your phone and come back to it. I picked this one up in an earlier podcast. So whenever I'm throwing, now my hand's knife hand. When I'm throwing jigs out, I'm not just straight out shots. I was making that mistake forever, and now I kind of do the clock. What method do you use?
Fan casting, the same thing like I do when I'm wade fishing for trout and redfish in the grass beds. Get you one spot and then cast. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Go. Parallel the beach each cast. Go around it twice. And then walk down about the casting distance you were. I try and split that in half and then do the same rotation again. If I don't have anything in that hole, I'm on. I'm not going to spend too much time in one spot. I'm trying to find where the fish are.
Nice, dude. Well done. Let's talk about the tides and the moon phases. Now, we're blessed here. We only have one tide a day. And it's not that bad. It's so nice that we don't have to play into the game that hard. How do tides and moon phases influence fishing, and what are the best times to fish based on those factors, in your opinion?
Man, I don't care about the tides as long as the water's moving. That's what I found. I know a lot of people obsessed and they have a tide chart and they treat it like a Bible. That's never been me. The only time I really care about the moon phase is if I'm trying to night fish. If I'm night fishing and it's a really full moon or a really new moon, you're typically not going to have as much moving water. So it's probably going to be a little bit slower of a bite. Now, if I'm trying to daytime fish for fish that feed at night, like redfish and black drum, and there's a full moon or a bright moon that's all night long, they're probably not going to feed as much during the day. So if I'm trying to catch redfish and stuff like that, and typically at wintertime fishing where we don't have as much pompano to go around, your typical target's gonna be redfish, black drum, whiting. If I want to try and catch them and I know it's been a big moon for nights at a time, I'm not going to day fish. I'm just going to try and night fish.
Because there's more out there than catfish at night. There's plenty of things to catch.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't know why people think that pompano don't feed at night. They absolutely do.
Because nothing eats at night, dude. No, nothing. It's nighttime. Fish don't eat at night. Gosh, never.
No.
They're at home.
I like fishing at night.
Dude, I've only gone a couple times, and the few times that I have, it's broad daylight at night. I mean, those supermoon nights where you're like, you take a picture and like, oh wow, how'd you get the sun so dark? That's the moon.
Yeah, when you don't even need a headlamp.
Yeah, those are crazy nights, dude. They're fun, but they are nuts.
Yeah.
get after them there.
Now I will say a lot of my nighttime fishing is for sharks. I haven't really been doing that near as much lately. I kind of got bored of it, to be honest. Um, I'd much rather fish during the daytime and try and catch some pompano and whiting, and at night try and catch redfish. I mean, sharks are fun, sure, but it's just not really my thing.
I think that's where I first met you. Was when it was not Perdido, the one in between Navarre, the
Opal
two
Beach,
no
uh,
it oh my gosh, the towers are right there. It's I just gonna sit on my mind. I'm gonna be
Portofino.
Portofino. I think I bumped into
Yes.
you and your crew out there in Portofino one time. That's where I think I
Yeah,
actually crossed your path the first time.
that's where they do a lot of their shark fishing is out there, just because it's away from the crowd. You don't really want to have too much publicity with shark
Mm.
fishing right now, especially with our social media craze when it comes to people and sharks.
They're here, people. They're literally 100 yards off, and they will come in
Yeah.
closer if they're hungry enough. They're not looking for
General rule
you.
of thumb. General rule of thumb. I've always told everybody: if you want to know a shark's in this water, dip your finger in the water and taste it. If it tastes like salt, they're sharks.
That's actually really good. That's going on the reel. I love that, dude. Well done. All right, 40 minutes in. It is time. You
Sure.
got to check it again. We're going to do that. And we're going to continue on here. We're having some good stuff here. It's dude, you're doing a great job, man. Seriously, really good.
Thank you.
This bait check is being brought to you by Ninja Tackle. You guys know I absolutely love Ninja Tackle. I love all the rods and all the gear that I ever get from there. It's always phenomenal and top notch. Now, right here, got to talk about it. The old little bummy. That's right. Bama Beach Bums littler rod. The little bummy is a 9'6" rod. Hearing a lot of great things about this. It's been doing really well in the surf and a couple other places you can use it. If you go over to the website, ninjatackleva.com, as you can see, plenty of great things on the website. The Ninja Dagger series, the Beach Bum, the Bummy Stick, the 12-foot, which you guys know, I love my 12-foot. I love my 12-foot. The 9-footer is phenomenal. There's really nothing bad, but if you need rigs, he's got you covered. He got you with ES lures and other hand-tied rigs, hooks, other gear. He's got it all through here. As you can see, 15 pages worth of stuff, sand spikes and bait, all good things all the way through. If you're into the firearm and tactical side, oh, he's got you covered there. Ninja Tactical, lots of good pieces of gear in here. As you scroll through, you're going to find something you need. I know it. Always good stuff. NinjaTackleVA.com. That's the website. Go on over, get your order in today. So we talked earlier when it comes to jigs and rigs and those pieces. So when it comes to the rigs, which we didn't talk about when you're set rig fishing, what kind of rigs do you like to use?
I like to do real basic, man. I like to just fish like a red bead or an orange bead. And I'm a fan of single drop rigs.
Oh, okay,
It's just
that's
more,
what I was going
it's
to
more
ask.
simplistic.
Yeah.
I don't like all the fancy jewelry, man. That's no knock to people that do use floats and all that kind of stuff. They work. They catch fish. Obviously, they catch fish. I'm a simple man. I like a small hook, a little piece of leader, and a lot of times, if it's a flat day or if it's a north fishing, like a north wind day, I like doing a crappie rig, man. Like how you brim fish when you were a kid. A split shot and a little hook with a piece of shrimp, and let it drift. Don't just set rig fish. I like letting mine run through the draw, let it drift naturally. No sand, flea, or shrimp or anything is sitting still in one spot in the current. You'll notice if you look at like underwater cams, like Tony with FishGum does, you'll see those pompano. They're curious. They'll come in, they'll nose it, and then they move on because no bait's just sitting still or just moving a little bit. It's constantly drifting in the current. So I like just enough weight to get it down and let it drift and almost fish those little pockets like you're river fishing. Cast up current and let it drift the whole way through that pocket. Reel it up, cast it again. And man, there's been days I've caught 30, 40, 50 whiting doing that. And that's been the only thing, not one single pompano, nothing else. So let me just go wear out a bunch of whiting. And personally, I'd rather eat whiting than pompano.
Whiting's delicious.
Yep, I know that ruffles a lot of feathers, but I'd rather eat whiting.
It's all about that on the show anyway. Ruffling feathers. That's why I said, oh, I got a whole bunch of people like, oh, how do you like them? I love bluefish. Love bluefish. People are like, oh, it's
Well,
gross. It's like, just cut the dark meat. It's good. Trust me. Just do it once.
treat it right.
All right. Well, you already answered a couple of these questions as we were going here. So now you got to like
Sure.
make me jump around and stuff. So you started working at a tackle, or you're back in the tackle game. You're in the fishing game. You're in a lot of big pieces here, and people are going to be able to come see you. So talk to me about that first, and then I'll ask you the question.
I've just started working at Entertainer Bait and Tackle. It's under the bridge in Perdido Key next to Perdido Bay Seafood. I'm there all the time now. I'm there open to close most days of the week. If I'm not there, the other guys that can help you out are just as knowledgeable as I am. I've been trying to cater a little bit more to our surf fishing guys. Whenever I'm picking out all of our dead shrimp from the tank every day, I'm not just throwing them right in the freezer. I'm putting them on ice so they're staying fresh. So you have never frozen shrimp. And that's a big difference. If you've ever used fresh shrimp versus frozen shrimp, huge difference on how well it stays on the hook. And it has a lot better scent profile to it because nothing's been degraded from the freezing process.
Mm-hmm. Swine. All right, that was a good ad. So now that you are working in the shop, what are some essential gear and tackle needs for a successful surf fishing trip, and how can anglers choose the right equipment for their needs?
Well, obviously, other than the rod and the reel to catch a fish, the single most important thing you can have is a pair of polarized sunglasses. If you can't see through the sun and see through that surface layer of the water, you're missing a lot. Now, the waves do tell a lot and they'll help you a lot, but having a pair of glasses is absolutely pivotal to having a successful trip in my eyes. Um, Having a proper size rod with a rating on it that's going to suit your needs. You don't want to have, a 6'6" ultralight rod and try and cast a 3 or 4 ounce pyramid weight. You're going to break it. Having properly suited tackle for what you're trying to do or want to learn to do is essential too. Any local bait shop you go into, they're going to be able to help you out. No one that works in a tackle shop wants you to not catch fish. We want you to catch fish. That's how you're going to come back and see us again. Don't be afraid to ask, man. There's a local tackle shop within a 20-minute drive anywhere on the Panhandle. They want to help you.
Uh-huh. It is, dude, and it's not like it was. It's not Sears. I hate to throw that. Well, are they even in business anymore? Anyway, it's not the shop where they're making big money just to get you to buy stuff. Because that one, if you succeed, you're going to come back and see me and buy more.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you want to go to Walmart, sure, by all means. But if you go into that sporting goods section and ask whoever's working behind that counter, how can I catch some pompano today? You might be SOL. They're just going to point at a counter and tell you, hey, you should buy this. No. Go spend a couple extra dollars, man. Go to a local shop and support a local business and actually learn what you need to learn.
Yep. What are the top surf fishing mistakes to avoid, and how can anglers continuously improve their skills and knowledge in this great sport that we're in, man?
What we were saying earlier, don't throw too far. That is one of the single biggest mistakes that I see people making is they're throwing past the fish. Fish close, man. That's the reason why kids catch so many fish in the surf is because that's all they can cast is 20, 30 yards. They can't sling it past the sandbar and they're going to catch fish. Again, don't be afraid to move. That's another big thing I have for people. Walk. Don't get too comfortable in one spot.
Yeah, definitely don't grow roots. The fish haven't.
No.
When it comes to seasons here, and you started with it a little bit, let's talk about that. Are there any unique challenges or tips for surf fishing during the different seasons, such as the evil winter and summer we have here?
Bait forage. Know what your fish are eating when you're trying to catch them. During the spring, summertime, it's all about sand fleas because that's what's in the surf more than anything. When it starts getting colder, the sand fleas burrow up in the dry sand and they don't come out. So you've got to be able to adjust a little bit. What are always going to be there, no matter the time of year? Coquina clams and ghost shrimp. Those are going to be your best friends when it's cold. And also, something I learned from you, Brian, a couple years ago, crab knuckles. I had never used a crab knuckle before. They catch fish too, man. Redfish and whiting love eating crab knuckles, and that's what you're going to catch in the wintertime. Your main staples are going to be your whiting, redfish, and black drum. That's not to say pompano aren't there. We always have a resident population that stays around, and those tend to be the bigger ones. But you've got to be able to be a little dynamic and know what they're eating. Whenever I do catch a fish that I'm bringing home, I'm cutting his stomach open. I'm looking at what he's eating. And 9 times out of 10, from October through February, their stomach's full of coquina clams.
And like you said earlier, with coquinas, you can't hook a coquina straight. You got to put it in the bag. You just do a little bit of a crush, get the scent out there, and they're going to come, oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, why do I have a piercing?
You don't have to pulverize it to powder. You just want to crack that shell open so that the scent starts getting out.
Yeah, that crab knuckle from the Chip the Sinker guy is the one that taught me that. And after that, I was like, why is this bait so good? No one needs to know about this. All right, some people need to know about it. And then I tell about it on the podcast, and I still go out and see people, and they're like, oh, yeah, I got shrimp or salmon. I'm like, that's fine. And I'll throw a crab knuckle on. But what's that? Crab knuckle? Oh, I've heard you talk about it. I've never seen it. How do you not see it? It's such an easy bait. Here, look, cut this, move here, take that, hook, throw, go.
And it stays on forever.
Yeah. The only thing that sucks is, of course, because crabs are crabs. Dude, they will happily seek out their little brethren of dead crab and pick that meat right out.
Live shrimp do the same thing in the tank. If you leave shrimp in the tank long enough, they'll start eating each other.
Cannibals.
Yeah. You can look at their tail. And it's the same way you can tell a wild caught shrimp versus a farm raised shrimp. If you look at a tail, it's supposed to be all fanned out, right? On a wild caught shrimp, you have that fan. On a farm raised shrimp, they just have a little nubby tail. Next time you go to Publix or anywhere, even Walmart, look in the frozen section and look at the tails of the shrimps that are in those freezer.
Dude, that's a cool one. I never knew that.
Yep.
Huh. All right, now I'm gonna have a fun thing to do when I go to Walmart next time. Grocery shopping of days. That's all Walmart gets my money for is groceries, because we've got a neighborhood market. It's right there. It's like, I'm not driving to Publix today. That's too far.
I miss the days of 24-hour Walmarts. That was my time. Years of working in the bar industry. I'd get off at 4 a.m. That was when I could do my grocery shopping.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you on that, especially when I'm driving home at midnight. I'm like, really, just go for a sandwich.
Yeah.
All right. So last one in this category, and then we'll move on to the closing questions here. What do you do when you go fishing in a brand new place you've never been before?
Back to the local tackle shop, man. Just Google whatever city you're in. Google whatever city bait and tackle. And it's probably going to come up for something. Go in there. Spend 20 minutes picking the young kid's brain, or the old salt that's been there for 30 years. Go talk to him for 20 minutes, man. Or go to where you're fishing. Find a couple local people. Bring a 6-pack of beer, man. But hey, can I pick your brain for a few minutes? You would genuinely be surprised how many people want to teach you something, dude. I'm a big fan of that. I will teach anyone in the world everything I know about fishing if you genuinely want to learn. I don't have secrets. Obviously, we've gone through this already. I don't try and gatekeep fishing knowledge. I want people to be the most successful angler they can. It's fun.
I never really got it, man. When it comes to, I just don't understand what the point of hoarding knowledge is, because yeah, you're out there every day. Sure, I'll buy you that. Charter guy, or not charter, commercial, I kind of buy it. I get it, because you're in the business. You got to make your money. But on the same one, the average decent angler, one, they're not going to hoard it. But the ones that do hoard it, it's like, why? What are you afraid of? That I'm going to outfish you? Who cares? I'm not going to friggin' tag you on social and say I beat you today. I just want to catch some fish.
Absolutely. Especially when it comes to kids, man. I want to see more kids in the outdoor. I'm a big fan of trying to get kids off their phones, get them off the tablet, get them outside. That's not to say video games aren't fun. Hell yeah, video games are fun. But that can't be your entire source of entertainment. That's not okay for your mental health. Get outside, man. Breathe some fresh air.
For sure. Plus, come the zombie apocalypse, you gotta know how to fish. You gotta save yours. You can't pick up things when they're not there.
Something.
My wife always like, why do you always bring up the zombie apocalypse? I'm like, I don't know. It just sounds fun. I mean, obviously it's gonna suck, but it sounds fun.
Well, I grew up playing Call of Duty for 10 years. What do you think?
Yeah, zombie mode. Oh my gosh, that my brain is on a wheel right now. Like, oh, that was fun. Yeah, I remember that one. All right, let's get the last bait check knocked out here. We'll get you into the closing section and get you out of here for the day, man. Doing good,
Oh,
doing real good. This bait check is being brought to you by DS Custom Tackle. DSCustomTackle.com is the website. Go on over there and take a look. As you can see, it is jam-packed full of gear. Yeah, if you need some stuff, yeah, I think you're covered here. If you need rigs, look at this. There are so many in the shop. You need to get your hands on anything from drums. Look at that. Kings, pomps down here, perch. It's not just Florida. This has got you covered up and down the East Coast and the West Coast. It doesn't matter where it is. You're all set up there. And if you're a rig maker and you're looking to get your hands on beads, floats, things of that nature, hey, look at that. Tons of beads right here, and the floats is in another section. There is a bunch. The scullies. Get the scullies. Yeah. DSCustomTackle.com. Go take a look. Get your order in today. Great product, great people, and they're doing great things. Camera? Uh-oh. Don't you just love tech problems?
I love it. It's the bane of my existence.
Yeah. All right, let's get the closing questions and get you out of here.
All
We've
right.
already done this, but I'm going to ask again. What knowledge would you give to a brand new angler?
I'm going to say it for a third time. Your local tackle shop is your best friend. I know I sound like a broken record right now, but I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. And I'm not just saying that as someone who works in a shop now. This has been common knowledge for a long time. If you want to learn about fishing, go talk to the people that do the fishing.
Yep. Easy day for it right there. What do you think has been the big reason for such a surge to surf fishing?
Social media, YouTube, Facebook, all that. It's allowed a lot more easy access to be able to see what fishing is. Not necessarily you going to do it, but just the entertainment aspect of it, of watching a random reel, watching a random YouTube video, and oh, hey, that looks fun. I should go look into doing that. And we definitely saw surf fishing picked up a lot, in particular when COVID hit, because that was one of the few things that we could go do was I could
Yeah.
go sit on the beach and be away from everybody still and still be able to fish.
Yeah, that definitely was a huge time. It's kind of even a weird ebb and flow right now, but yeah, that was huge. Are there any fellow surf anglers, mentors, authors, and anybody individual that you're like, dude, that helped, that you would love to shout out?
You, man, you have been a huge avenue for learning stuff, for anglers trying to learn stuff. I mean, hell, even someone like me, I've been doing this a long time. Back to the crab knuckle thing. I'd never heard about that before. And I saw that, heard it, and saw it used, and I'm like, this works. Don't be afraid to learn something new. Don't be too stuck in your ways.
You're too nice. Thank you, dude. It's if we're not sharing, man, we're dying. We can all pick up something.
Absolutely.
Where can people, since you started a new job, people are going to be able to find you a lot easier now. But if people wanted to ask questions of you, how could they find you?
Uh, I'm in all the bigger Facebook groups: Panhandle Surf Fishing, Pensacola Fishing Fanatics, Pensacola Fishing Buddies. I don't try and get into too many of them just because it can be a lot to try and keep up with. And respect to the people who do, especially the moderators and the admins who are running 4, 5, 6 pages. I genuinely don't know how you do it. But that being said, the groups that I am in, I stay fairly active. You can see me down at the bait shop all the time. That's going to be the easiest place to find me. Or come fishing Perdido. I'm not a hard guy to miss. I'm big. I'm 6'3". I'm 360 pounds. I stand out on the sand. Come say hey. I'm not a mean guy.
No, you're fun to talk with. All right, man. Last question. I'll get you out of here. What's next for you?
Fishing this year. That's something that I'm trying to do hard. In particular, I want a 4-pound pompano on a jig. I know that's a big goal to have, but you got to have big goals.
Hell, a 4-pound pompano is a big goal as it is. They're hard to catch in that size.
Yeah, and that's why it's not impossible. I want something that I can achieve, but something that I can't just go do next week and be content with it. Now, it's not to say I'm not going to be stoked if I catch one next week, but the likelihood's not really there.
Yeah. Well, we can all hope, right? And I hope for you, dude. I look forward to seeing you post something up, some big one. Well,
yeah,
Brandon,
I can't wait.
Thank you, dude. We've been meaning to do this, and I'm glad we finally got a chance to have this conversation. I'm glad we got to do this. I know we'll see each other on the beach. We always do. But thanks for coming on, sharing your knowledge, and just being an awesome dude. Appreciate it, brother.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. We'll catch up, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, cheers.
All right, everybody. There you go. Brandon Keenan came on. Good one. It was a fun episode, man. Like I said, gentle giant, if you will. Just a fun dude to be around. Really great knowledge, and you can go find him out at Entertainer Bait and Tackle, like he said. Catch him out in Perdido, those places like that. Hopefully this episode helped you. I know I got a couple of pieces on my notepad for me that I'm going to use, and just all around good stuff. Appreciate you being here. If this helped you, don't forget to share it out. Get the knowledge out there, because all we can do is help each other become better anglers. That's all we could ever ask for. You've been listening to Finding Demo Surf Fishing. I'm out of here.